Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here on the Wednesdays at 1 show. I appreciate everyone who comes to the show. I think you can see that there is a little bit of a different look to today's show. I'm actually in my kitchen, and we're going to do a bit of a cooking demo today. So I want to just let you know that we have a couple of different shots that I'm going to be showing you. I have it all laid out. This is a solo endeavor right now. So I'm doing all of the producing. I'm watching for comments. I'm going to be cooking as well. And so I just want to say that to say, bear with me. Now, I know the audio is a little bit delayed. Don't worry so much about that because you're not going to actually be seeing a lot of me. Hopefully, I'm going to be showing you some different angles, some different ways that we can show cooking, some different ways that we can just have a way to demonstrate what's going on here, right? We have a lot of good content for you today. And I just have to set up everything just so, but I'm going to be cooking and chopping and doing a whole bunch of things so that you guys can see exactly how I do this stir fry that I'm going to be making for you today. So it's going to be a shrimp stir fry, and it's going to be some veggies, and I have some great different ingredients and different elements that I'm going to be sharing with you. So with that in mind, let's get started. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start to chop up a bunch of veggies and that sort of thing. Right. And that's going to be going right into our oven, or right onto our stovetop here. Right. So I'm going to start with some mushrooms. And one thing about mushrooms, and I guess the whole process too, I want you to know is that I do things a little bit differently. I like to cook a lot of my elements separately. And I do that for flavor, and I do that for texture, right? So I like to have my mushrooms sauteed a little bit, and they're going to be part of it. So you guys have heard me talk about this, but here is the zazé that I'm going to use, right? I'm just going to put it into this into this pan here. And one of the things I want you to understand as well is that I'm not a great cook. I try really hard, and I am a great eater for sure, but not what I wouldn't call myself a great cook. So I'm going to take these shiitake mushrooms and some baby brown pearl mushrooms, and I'm going to put them into this pan once it heats up a little bit. And one of the great things about this olive oil that I use is that it is such a forgiving olive oil. It really, really is. It really just sort of complements anything that you want to do with it. And that's really important for someone like me who is maybe not the greatest of cooks to begin with, but the zazé olive oil really allows me to do a lot of different things with my flavors and with the things that I'm going to do. So I'm going to start to chop up these mushrooms now, and you can see that these are the baby brown bells that I'm going to chop up. And then I have the shiitake too. They're going to go in all together. But what I like to do with these is just kind of chop them in half. And when I do that, it's just one more edge for them to be brown on. So I'm going to chop these. I'm chopping them. And it gives me that edge, that nice white edge that I like to get brown. And I can see that my fire is getting nice and hot. I don't want it to be. The other thing too is that you don't want to. I kind of use my gas stove to get things really hot, but then I bring the heat back down when I'm actually ready to cook. I like it to get hot fast, but I don't cook on high heat. Very rarely. I like to let things kind of cook in their own sort of natural way and time. And I hope you guys can see this. My arm is probably blocking you a little bit because I'm doing this. This is the natural way I do it, but I haven't done it in front of a camera. So I want you to be able to see it. But I also have to do it and not manage to cut a finger off. So, all right. So I have my Zaze oil, olive oil is in there, extra virgin olive oil. I have my cut baby browns. They're going in. Ooh, nice. That's a good sound. You like that sound? You want to hear that sound. I'm also going to put my shiitakes in as well. And those are just beautiful, flavorful, wonderful mushrooms that I like to use. So let's see here if I can get you to here. Yeah, okay, great. And you can see that I am just putting in this combo of mushrooms. These are mushrooms that I love, and I managed to put them into almost everything that I cook. All right. So those are going in. While those are going in, I'm going to take now my peppers and my onion, and I'm going to cut them up and put them actually in another pan. So I think I told you, I cook my stir fries separately. I like to cook things in different places and cook them separately. And that's what I do to really get the textures that I want. Laura, thank you for checking in. Lynn, so good to see you. Jalissa, aka Malia, the model. I know she has a new project coming out soon. She's been working hard in the lab, and we want to honor her and say, keep going, lady. You're a great friend of the show and a great artist. Okay, so I'm going to now just start to chop up these veggies. And these are peppers and these are onions. And I want you guys to not be too critical of my technique. My technique is my technique. And I think that that's one of the great things about cooking. I was talking to my friend, Chef Tony Ambrose, and he was saying that basically just the same thing to, let it be yours, right? Let it do it the way you want to do it, right? We eat our own mistakes, that's for sure. I'm just going to give these a quick rinse off. But we all come up with our own sort of ways to do things that we're going to do, right? And those mushrooms, I'm going to check in on them shortly, but they are sauteing nicely right now. And I love the smell of sauteed mushrooms. So let's take a look at these mushrooms right now for a moment here. All right, so these are getting nice. And you can see I cut the baby bells in half so they have that inner white exposed part of it. And that's sort of the way that I judge where they are in the saute process, is that when those white sections start to turn brown, that's about where I want it to be. All right. And you can see that I've added another pan, and I'm going to add some more of my zaze here. And this is going to be for my peppers and my onion. Okay, so I'm just going to add that zaze for right now. And I'm going to, again, my technique is I like to start at a high heat just to get that oil kind of going. But I don't like to cook with high heat. I really don't. So I don't cook anything really in high heat. There are some things that I think call for it, but they don't. I don't typically cook in really high heat. Maybe a steak. Sometimes I'll do that because I want it to be a certain way. But for the most part, I cook on low heat. It's an aspect of control. It's an aspect of vigilance sometimes too, because sometimes I get distracted, or maybe I'm in the process of cooking a little bit of, or maybe drinking a glass of wine or something. So I'm maybe not as vigilant as I could or should be. Or I'm talking because cooking is such a communal thing for me. I love to cook with people. And I hope you guys do too, because it's such a fun thing. Sharing meals for me is such an important part of, any relationship. It can be a romantic uh, relationship. It can be a friendship. It can be a professional relationship. Get together and cook something. That's really that's something that I believe in. It's something that I like to do. It's something that makes a big difference for me. Okay, so my heat is good. It's nice and hot. So I'm going to start to turn that down a little bit because I don't need these things like supercharged and fried, right? I just want them to be, I want to have these nice sort of even pieces of pepper and onion. And if you can see my technique, these are the pieces. They kind of look like this here, if you can see that. Yep, that's about the size that I really want. It's just like that. And I try to make them about even. And the reason I try to cut them in even sized pieces is so that they cook at about the same rate at about the same time. All right. And anyone who knows me, they know I love red peppers. I love yellow peppers. I love orange peppers. I love green peppers. I love peppers. That's something that I managed to get that into a lot of things that I cook too. And that's just, something that is, appeals to my taste. And that fire is just getting going right now. And I'm going to go back and just check on my mushrooms really quickly and see how they're doing. And they're doing great. So they are starting to get a little bit brown in the white parts of the mushroom, the inner parts. And so I like that. And so when I start to see that, I actually begin to turn the heat down a little bit, right? Because I don't need these things super overcooked. And when I turn this down, what it also does is it prompts me to turn on the fire under my rice. So I'm going to be cooking some rice. We're going to be doing stir fry with shrimp. And we're going to put it on a bed of rice. Okay. So I have my pan going here. I have some onion here that I'm going to be adding as well. Onion is such a strong flavor, but I really like it. But it can dominate, so you want to be a little bit careful with how much onion you use, how big the pieces are, that sort of thing, because it can take over. But I like a good, healthy dose of onions to go into my stir fry. Okay, so now again, I've turned the heat down. I have on my mushrooms, I've turned the heat down on where I'm going to put my onions and peppers. I'm going to add my onions and peppers now. And let's see here. Yep, there we go. Good. And again, guys, forgive me if if the production value is not as great as it could be, right? Because I am attempting to do two things at once. But that smells amazing. Okay, so anytime you're cooking onions and peppers and mushrooms, you're off to a good start. So now, the secret sort of sauce of or that's not actually sauce, but the secret ingredient that I love in my stir fry is it's a bok choy, right? Bok choy is something that is it's healthy, it's delicious, it's crunchy, it's great color, it has great texture. It's something that makes a big difference for me, right? And then my other secret ingredient is the beautiful and often maligned okra. I love okra, and I say it's maligned because it gets a little bit slimy when you cook it. But I love it. And if you cook it properly, it's just going to be a delicious little thing that you do, right? So thanking everybody for being here and allowing me to show you that I can somewhat cook, right? And I just do that. That doesn't really do anything, but I like doing it. And so again, talking about texture, right? So for texture, I like my okra to be a little bit firm, right? So I cook it not that long. And you can see that I cut off the I cut off the two ends of the okra. So here and here. So it's going to look like that. And then I cut this into 3s or 4s, depending on how big the okra is. And I just kind of leave it there. And it's not a lot of okra here. I actually didn't have as much as I thought I did. So that's really good. But it's still okay. So let's get this going here a little bit. If you can see. So you can see here. Okay, I got my peppers and my onions going. That's really nice. I have my mushrooms going. That's really nice. And I have my rice going. And so I want to get back to my sort of secret ingredients here, the things that make my stir fry, I think, special. And that's okra and bok choy. Really love it. Something that I didn't always cook with. My mom made okra growing up, and I didn't like it actually when I was growing up and she was making it. Now I'm an adult and I love it. Isn't that weird how food kind of changes your taste and your likes and your dislikes? Now, when I go to my mom's house, I say, Mom, can you make okra? So just like that, I cut these, and you don't have to cut them one at a time like I was just doing. You can do whatever, makes sense for you, right? But you just take the tips and the ends, and I just kind of put them off to the side there because I don't need them. I'm not going to cook them. And I just cut them like that. And so, yeah, okra gets a bad rap because it can be slimy when you cook it. But if you cook it quickly, it kind of retains its firmness. Okay, good. Everything here looks good. Let's take a look and see. I mean, that looks good. This looks like something that, is going to taste good. Even if it doesn't, it looks great. And it smells amazing. I wish I could develop smell-o-vision and make $1 million. But let me just, while this is kind of going, let's say hello to some people. Laura, thank you for the zaze. We are using it. We are zazed up. Malia, the model, is in here. Lindeen is in here. And Laura is saying, yes, no judgment for cooking, chopping, have fun. Thank you. I need that. Thank you. Model Music with Malia airs Monday on IGTV, Facebook, YouTube. Pre-show is available now. So, guys, check her out. And oh my goodness, Miss Kristen Carosa. Guys, I live up here on the New Hampshire border. And if you guys are ever in New Hampshire and ever see New Hampshire TV, my girl Kristen Carosa, incredible reporter there doing her thing. So glad you're here today. And of course, Miss Andy Lyons, thank you for being here. Zazie, yeah, works good with red peppers, mushrooms. It's all good with Zazie. Let's see here. Sudi. Oh, Chef Eric. Wow, that's high praise from Sudi, because if you guys remember, I had Sudi on my show not so long ago, and she was cooking. All right, let me check on my rice. I'm going to tell you, rice is a delicate balance of, being vigilant and also just kind of letting it cook. I have a really good friend. She's Dominican, and she says that most Americans drown their rice, meaning they put too much water in it. So I've been trying some different techniques. Okay, so now peppers have been cooking for a little bit, not too long. Mushrooms are starting to look brown in all the places that they were white. And so now I'm just going to really simply add that to that. I'm going to add my peppers and my onions to my mushrooms. All right. And you guys are probably saying, well, you know what, Eric, we haven't seen any spices yet. Well, we're going to start that process now. I don't like to overspice. And because there are so many layers to this, I don't like to overspice. So, but I do have a very special spice that I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to add a little more. a little more of the Zaze extra virgin olive oil to my pan. I'm going to keep this, I'm going to get that kind of, not really have to get it super warmed up because I've already been cooking in here. But I want to just do this. So while I'm doing that, my man, Shu, in the house, all the way from Las Vegas, Nevada. Thank you so much for being in here, my man. I appreciate you coming and joining. So now I'm going to take my bok choy and I'm just going to simply, let me get these little suckers out of here. I'm just going to simply take my bok choy and cut it right down the middle, just like that. So it looks like that, and I'm going to cut it. And again, I kind of do it the same reason I do the mushrooms, right? I want to see a little bit of the grilling of the bok choy that kind of lets me know that it's where I want it to be in terms of its consistency and its texture, right? So I kind of expose these white sort of hearts of the bok choy, and that helps me understand where it is in the cooking process, okay? So now I have my bok choy here. I have my okra here. One more bok choy to cut in half. And now I'm going to take that and I'm going to put it into this pan. Now I've turned the heat down a little bit on this pan. And actually could turn it down a little bit more because I don't need it to make that much noise when I put it in, but that's okay. We want it to cook. I'm going to take these two and put these in. And so you can see what I'm doing here. You can see that I'm kind of building layers to my stir fry, right? It's all frying and it's all kind of going to be stirred, but it's also all going to be at its own pace and its own, own sort of consistency. Kristen, I miss you too, lady. We're going to have to get together very soon. Kristen, really one of my favorite people in this whole world. Whenever I happen to catch her, it's just a great thing. So, Kristen, thank you so much for tuning in today. We really appreciate it. I'm trying to do some TV, right? I've been doing this for a long time. I've been working in and around TV, but now I'm going to be working in front of the camera a little bit. And I can tell you, it's not easy. It's not easy. So, letting that rice, just paying attention to it, letting the heat go, letting that water kind of do what it has to do, but not drown it. Let's see here. Where do I want to go? Okay, so now you guys see me in my overhead. And I have this going here. So now here's the first thing that's going to happen. Pepper. And this is the Indian Ocean Pepper Company. My good friend, Tony Ambrose. He is the guy who is the spice genius. And he just doesn't play around with it. He doesn't just kind of say, yeah, I have spices. This is his whole process. His whole journey is these spices. And so I have some Sri Lankan black pepper. Guys, we're getting fancy in here. I'm gonna put a little Sri Lankan black pepper. I'm gonna put a little bit, just a little bit, not a lot, but it's a little bit of salt because I like to just have a little bit there, right? And then the other thing I'm gonna put is a little bit of minced garlic because I love garlic, and I always look for an opportunity to use garlic in my things. Now I don't want to over garlic it because I'm going to be adding a flavor component to this, and so I want to not do too much garlic, but I want this to kind of saute. Let that kind of move around, and then whenever you introduce garlic into anything, right? That it's going to be, it's going to have a big impact, right? So you don't want to get too heavy unless you like garlicky stuff. But this ultimately is going to be a shrimp teriyaki. So I don't want the garlic to conflict too much with the teriyaki. I want them to complement each other. So not a ton of garlic, not even a ton of teriyaki either. I really just want them to kind of coexist nicely, and they can be strong on their own as well. So let me check on my rice. Can't forget the rice, right? This is probably part of the reason that the rice never comes out right, because I always kind of put it on, let it do what it's going to do, and then kind of forget about it. But it's actually coming along nicely. I can't even give you like sort of, put this much water versus this much rice. Sudi actually told me not so long ago, 2 cups of water per 1 cup of rice. I don't have a cup of rice in there. I have maybe like 3/4 cup of rice in there, and I have maybe a cup and a half of water in there. And I'm going to see how that works, but it looks like it's going pretty well. So now, it is time for my star attraction, which is my scrimps. And my scrimps are just regular. They're actually frozen shrimp. And this is getting very close to my bok choy, and my okra is getting very close to where I want it to be. But I don't want it to get all the way to where I want it to be. I want it to get close to where I wanted it to be. Because what's going to happen now is I'm going to take you can see here my bok choy and my okra. I don't know if you guys can see that really well, but let me see. Where's my camera? Okay. But that's really what that is supposed to look like. I'm doing a terrible work with my camera, but that's what it looks like, okay? And now, simply, boom, there it is. It is now inside with the peppers. It's inside with the mushrooms. It's inside with the onions. And it is starting to begin to look like a stir fry, right? What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a little bit of teriyaki sauce. Now, I know for some that's a sin, right? Especially if you're a person who's done a lot of Asian cooking, adding this sauce. But this, I found, is really a good sauce for me. I'm not going to go crazy with it, but just enough to kind of lightly coat. And the name of this is Tsang, Tsang. And it is teriyaki sauce that I use. It's not super strong. And I really want to hit all of this now with more of that Indian Ocean Sri Lankan black pepper. Okay. And I'm going to start to let that go. All right. So if you remember over here, I have my other skillet going, and I've turned the heat down a little bit, and I'm going to add even more olive oil, zazé, extra virgin. This one is actually the premium select, but they have the black label and the golden drops. It is just something that is to be used generously, and it is such a complimentary olive oil. So now I'm going to take my shrimp, all right? And these are just frozen shrimp. I'm going to put them in here. You can see they're already really ready to cook, right? That pan has been good. It has sort of some of the flavors from everything that's now in the pan that's right next to it, and I like that. But I also like to give this its own sort of flavor profile. So I'm a big season inside the pan person, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but that's what I like to do. So I'm going to go with that black pepper. I have a little Creole seafood seasoning that I like to use. And I just kind of give it a little bit, not too much, right? And I think you can notice that I haven't used a lot of salt. People can salt to taste, I guess, but I like to still have just enough salt that, it's not devoid of taste. Salt is a great enhancer. It's something that helps to bring other things out. So now I'm going to turn down here, both of these. So this is my stir fry. It's just looking sort of beautiful right now. I don't know if you can really see it, but I'm going to give you a close up in a minute. I'm going to check my rice. My rice is looking really good. It's looking great, but we're just going to let that kind of continue to go. Yes, this rice is not drowned at all. It looks actually really good. I'm actually kind of pleased with myself right now. And so you guys take a look at that. That's the kind of, if you can see, that's really starting to look good and kind of come together in a way that I hope you guys can see and it comes through on this camera. I'm just going to let this shrimp kind of continue. I'm actually going to turn off my rice. So you can see, not a perfect execution, but it's my execution. It's the way that I do it, and this is the way that I like it, and I think it's going to come out okay. We're hoping that it does. It smells amazing in here, I have to tell you, and I'm excited to taste this. But while we're waiting, I'm letting the shrimp kind of cook a little bit over here. You can see to your left. While we're waiting, I'm going to show you something that I just got kind of introduced to basically last night. I'm just going to turn these shrimp over, and I'm going to let these, I want these shrimp to get actually a little bit browner than this. So I'm going to turn up the heat a little bit. But here's my shrimp. I have my Indian Ocean Sri Lankan black pepper. I have a little bit of seafood seasoning that I use. It's kind of nondescript, but I like it. And I have the Zazé olive oil. So those are all great things. And those are things that, to me, make a huge difference. They are the things that really kind of add to, you know, the flavor and the profile of everything that I'm trying to do. And I'm super excited about this. This is actually coming out great. So, let's see here. I'm gonna let me go through my my comments here. Let's see who's in here with me. Everybody's in here. Looks good. Clark, DJ Voyage is in here. Wow, looks delicious. Thank you. Thank you, Laura. You're a big part of this. Everything that is cooked in here is cooked with Zazé. So I'm super excited about that. And that just is adding an incredible profile to it. So I don't want to let this, it's still actually, I have the fire down very low on this, but I still have it going. I want to keep it kind of right where it is. Let's see. So we have, thank you so much for being in here. DJ Voyage, Kristen, love you, girl. Can't wait to see you again. Looks can be deceiving, Miss Laura. This is not a professional operation, but I'm doing my best because I got a nice audience here. Did I miss the wine segment portion? No, the wine is coming up, lady. Thank you for reminding me. I rarely forget about wine, but you know what? I'm glad that you brought it up. Karina Central, love, thank you. Love you back. That whole family, such a gorgeous family. If you guys don't follow, Shui has a beautiful extended family out in Las Vegas, and so much fun to see all the things that they're up to. So Sudi asked me about the wine. So let's see here. So I have a couple of wines. Sun Goddess wine. Did I lose everybody? Hold on. Sun Goddess wine. And let's see here. And I want you guys to really see this Sun Goddess wine. So I have the Sun Goddess wine. I have the Zazé. I have the well, I have the pepper here, but I have the hot pepper. My shrimp are looking good. That's the other thing about shrimp, guys, is that especially with frozen shrimp is never really frozen. You just take it out of the freezer, run some warm water on it, and it's ready to cook, right? Some people even put it into the pan frozen. I don't like to do that, but now I can see that these shrimp are starting to get to where I want them to be. So you see my Zazé, you see my Sun Goddess wines. That's Mary J. Blige's wine, and she is just doing her thing with wine. The Urban Grape in Boston sponsored her on a Zoom last night. And so we got to see Mary and hear her talk about her wine and her journey with the wine. And that was great. So I picked up a couple of bottles and we're going to talk about it in a minute. We're going to talk about it in a minute. But let me just get back to this, to my dishes here for a minute. And you can see here, my shrimp are about where they want to be. My rice is turned off. So I'm just going to put that all into one right there. And so you can kind of see that this pan was like my everything pan, right? I had my peppers and onions in here. I had my bok choy and my okra. And then I finally put the shrimp all into this same pan, all kind of flavors kind of mixing. And then I'm slowly adding it to my full dish over here. So all of these flavors, even though they weren't all cooked together, they're all mingling now. And they've been cooked they all came from like the same nest, right? They were all cooked in the same place. So now this is what I'm talking about, guys. I wish you could smell this. This is so good. This actually came out so much better than I would have even predicted. But that is my shrimp stir fry. It has bok choy, it has okra, it has peppers, it has onions, and it has mushrooms. And it looks good. And of course, there's also the shrimp. So that's really what that is about right there. So my rice is ready. I want you guys to really see what we have here for the Sun Goddess wines. This is something that I really care a lot about, actually, because it's people just not being intimidated by wines and tasting wines. This is really what it's all about. This is Mary J. Now, obviously, she has a platform, but she went ahead and got her wine game on. So this is the Premium Select. That's what I use to cook today. There's also the Black Label, which is the top end, but they're all high end. But this is like the super triple deluxe. And then we have the Golden Drops. The Golden Drops is a great olive oil, extra virgin olive oil as well. They all have their own sort of profiles, their own sort of flavors, their own sort of things that make them great. And so that's really where we are with those. And so this is just finally, basically it is cooked. I still have a low heat on it, but I'm going to start to plate some of this. We're going to eat a little bit. I think I'm going to open up this wine because I've been looking at it and talking about it. So I think I have to drink it. I mean, it doesn't take a lot for me to be convinced to drink some wine, but that's really what it's going to come down to, is that it's there. I've cooked this meal, and you guys have been here with me. Let me just make sure I'm staying up with you guys. Wow, you're inviting us all over for lunch? Yep, come on over. Oh, Shelly! Oh, Shelly, how are you, lady? Shelly lives up in Plum Island in a beautiful seaside chalet with her husband and their dog, and I love seeing all of their adventures. It's really great that you're here. Thank you. Miss Elizabeth Hawkins looks really good. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. And let's see. Can I use Zazé on veggies I roast in the oven? You know what? Laura is here. Laura can answer that question for us. We'll wait to hear back from her. And of course, DJ Ray G is in the building. He's got a new project coming up too. So I want to make sure that you guys pay attention to Ray. Follow him if you see him here. Pay attention. These guys have some great projects out here. So many great and talented people that come to the Wednesdays at 1 show. And is there a shrimp substitute? Yeah, tofu. I think tofu is something that people use if they have a shellfish. Chicken, certainly. I'll tell you right now, I could eat this, and I would eat this with no protein at all. It's so good. If I do say so myself. Haha. And I do. And I just really want to have a chance for you guys to really see how this all came together. So just give me a minute while I plate. Talk amongst yourselves. You guys are so talented and have so many great things going on. I mean, I'm doing my little show on Wednesdays, but you guys are doing some real stuff out there that is really just a great, a great sort of example of how many talented and great people there are out there, just doing wonderful things. So now I have this. I'm going to show this to you. And I want you guys to think about the wine too, right? This is such a good pairing with the wine. These are light wines. It's a Sauvignon Blanc and a Pinot Grigio, and really just something that I am really, 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 really happy about. So, as you can see right there, there is my stir fry. I hope you guys can see that properly. I know it's kind of a little bit out of focus, but there it is. And so I think that's about it. I've done, I think, all that I can do, except for the eating and the drinking. So I'm going to get to that very soon. But I want to thank you guys for coming in, joining me on the Wednesdays at 1 show, a little bit of a different format. Thank you for being patient with me as I try to figure out everything. And I encourage you guys, try the wine, try the extra virgin olive oil, try the spices. These are the things that really it's the little things, it's the details that make all of these dishes really, really special. And if you really want the recipe, or you guys want to talk about food or anything, feel free to reach out. I love to talk food. I love to eat food. Yeah, I'm doing my best Migos impression. I'm in the kitchen, wrist twisting with the stir fry. Yes, my best Migos right now. Thank you so much, Myra. I appreciate you tuning in. And Shelly, I can't even tell you how thrilled I am to have you in my show today. Just a real thrill. So glad. I haven't seen you in over a year. That's the way a lot of people have been. But thank you so much for being here. And again, the Zaze, it goes with everything: stovetop, oven, grill, also raw on salads and dipping. Yes, olive oil is a big part of cultural eating, whether it's Turkish, like this Zaze originates from, certainly Greek, and of course Italian. But this is an olive oil that really works with anything. It's really something that I love. I've just now discovered it, and I've been using it like crazy, and people really do love it. I also want to, again, encourage you guys, if you look up East India spice. This is the Sri Lankan black pepper, and it's something that I have just been using on everything. So at the risk of sounding like a commercial, I don't want to sound like a commercial, but I actually believe in this stuff. This is stuff that matters to me. And I want you guys to know about it. If I'm doing it, I want to at least tell you about it. And if I'm telling you about it, that means I believe in it. And so that's what we do here. That's the Wednesdays at 1 show. I want to thank everybody for bearing with me. I tried to do a lot today. I may have tried to do a little too much, but I got through it, and you guys were right there with me. I so appreciate it. We'll be back next week. Same bat channel, same bat time. But until then, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me on the Wednesdays at 1 show, here on my Facebook, my Twitch, my YouTube. We're here every Wednesday at 1, and I'll see you guys next week. I'm going to go open this and have my stir fry. Talk to you guys next week.